on Saturday and Sunday. No, Sunday is those of you who have finished. I will send you an email for you to send your work to. I will try and look at them because you have to submit your works on Monday by hook or crook. I don't want it to go beyond Monday. Normally, you submit 2 copies, 2 compound copies. Then after that, we will schedule meetings to continue with the others. After these people submit, then I'll work on the remaining questionnaires. Yeah, so Caleb, please share and go ahead. I'll join as soon as I get home. Okay, so I think I can see now. You see, the cover page is what he is displaying. On top of the cover page is Kwame Nkrumah College of Sciences. Others will add whatever. Please don't add anything. Some of you will introduce crests. Don't. This is the work of
I think Doc has gone offline, I think probably because of his internet connectivity. Please, I hope you can hear me. Please, can you hear me? Okay. So Doc will join us along the line, but let's see if we can just look at the cover page, what goes into the cover page. So if you look at what I've shared on the screen, like he said, the first part of the cover page is the name of the institution, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi. Don't add any other thing to it. Don't introduce any crest. Some of you want to put the crest of the university on the cover page. Please don't do that. Then beneath the name of the institution comes your project topic. So, for instance, his topic was effect of religious orientation on supply chain performance, the rules of resource deployment, capability, and social and sociocultural orientation. So right beneath the name of the institution comes the title of the research. So those of you who are here to submit your work, please, and a very big please, we entreat you that you look at the format that we are presenting to you and do accordingly. If you bring any other thing, you know what he has been doing all this while. When you try to submit something that he hasn't approved, what he would do is that just reject the whole work. So that is why we are going through all this pain to show you what it takes to do each part of the project. So we did chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, and the others, simply because we just want you to know the format, how you should format your work so that it conforms to the standard. And when you do that, you release yourself from a lot of headache and a lot of burden. Okay, so like I said, the first part of it captures the name of the institution and follows by the title of the research. So your title of your research will be right beneath the name of the institution. And please, if you look at the cover page, you also see that all the text on the cover page has been centered. I hope you understand what I mean if I say centered. You know, there are 4 different kinds of alignment. We have the left alignment where you type a text and the text will begin from the left side. We have the right alignment where the text will align to the right side or will start from the right side. Then we have the center alignment. Then we have the justification. You will justify the actual work, but when it comes to the cover page, this title cover page, the text must be in the center alignment, just like you are seeing on the screen. So by then your name. If you have any qualification, especially if it is talking about the masters, I mean, you can add it, but most importantly, like these days, most of you it is your first what do you call it, masters that you are doing, so there will not be any need to put your first degree there. So just your name. Then you come to this part. If yours is a master's thesis, okay, so a master's thesis submitted to the Department of, then you follow through the format. Master's thesis submitted to the Departments of Supply Chain and Information System, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, but in fulfillment, in partial fulfillment of requirement for the award of a degree of. So if you are doing MPhil, you specify, okay, then in logistics and supply chain, and the year, I think yours supposed to be, I think 2023, maybe when DOC comes around, probably you clarify it. So the year, right, it will be down here. So like I said, when DOC comes around, he will clarify the year. Then the declaration, this is also very, very important. It's like signing a contract. So you are here declaring that the work is now your own work towards the award of the degree that you are trying to get from the university. And that to the best of your knowledge, it contains no previous published material or any other person's work, or where it needed to be cited, you have properly cited them and you signed. So the first part is you indicating your name and your student number. Then also your signature and the date. When you submit the work, you know, your supervisor will be Dr. Muntaka, and I hope by now you should know your second supervisor. If you don't know it, maybe later on we can look at that and let you know who will be your second supervisor. So you create a section for your first supervisor, your second supervisor, and the head of department. Currently, the head of department is Professor David Asamoah. He's now a professor. So when you are addressing them, please let's take note of those things. He's Professor David Asamoah. So you indicate the various people that are supposed to certify your work. So first of all, before you submit your work to Dr. Muntaka, especially the combinding that you are submitting to us, make sure you have signed. Some of you submit your work without signing. If you do that, then what it means is that we cannot approve the work because you that owns the work have not signed the work. So how do we also go ahead to approve or to let it go through the process? So make sure before you submit your work, you have also signed your portion. Then you come to the next where you write the abstract of the whole project. You know, abstract is just supposed to be a paragraph. Okay, in writing abstract, it's a one paragraph. Okay, so writing your abstracts, make sure that you don't leave any space. It's a full paragraph on its own. It's like a general summary of the whole work, so that if somebody picks your work and doesn't want to even read the entire work, by going through the abstracts, the person should have a fair idea of what the whole work is all about. I don't know if Bona wants to add something. I don't know. Bona, are you there? Bonaventure. Okay, I think Doc is back.
Yeah, Mr. Okay. Mr.
All right,
Okay.
Doc.
Yeah, color.
Okay. So I think we are the abstracts. I was just trying to show them the structure of the declaration page and what they are supposed to do here. So I don't know if you want to take over from here.
No, you'll find that the declaration page is a standard statement. So don't say because of turn it in or whatever, you are going to change it. This is what the declaration page is. This is what the declaration statement is. And everybody is supposed to have the same thing. Same thing. Everybody is supposed to have the same thing. And this is the format of the presentation. Give me a few minutes. I'll just go home. So this is how it is presented. So it is you, the students, and then the supervisor, and then the head of department. So the head of department is Professor David, and Samana is a professor. There's no more David. And you have one supervisor. You have one supervisor and not three. Like I said, this is a PhD. So each of them is preceded by certified by. You don't have first supervisor and you don't have second supervisor. You have only one supervisor. So it's certified by. Some of you get my name wrong. If you get my name wrong, technically it's unacceptable. You should not be able to submit your work because it shouldn't be possible for you to be supervised by somebody whose name you don't know. And so it is unacceptable that you write my name. So that is my name there. Please take note of it and make sure you get my name right. Okay. Now, some of you present this page in such a way that the entire material on the page is just on half of the page. And sometimes the question is, what are you going to do with the rest of the space on the page? What will you be doing with the rest of the space on the page? So you have to spread it in such a way that at least 3/4 of the page is fully covered. And there's a spread. There should be a good spread on the page. Okay. Go to the next. There are two approaches to presenting this. In one of the approaches, after the declaration page, you have dedication, you have acknowledgement, and then before the abstract. If you are going with that format, that is what you should do. You have declaration, dedication, acknowledgement before the abstract. If you are going with this, where the abstract comes immediately after the declaration page, then you follow this structure. So for the avoidance of doubt, let us agree on the format. So this is what you are going to do. You have the declaration page. Please write it down. Declaration page. The dedication comes after that. Then acknowledgement comes after that. Then abstract comes after that. Then you have table of contents following. Then you have list of tables following. Then you have list of figures following. Then you have list of abbreviations following. Then the structure is complete. So now we are going to go to, this is the abstract. First, an abstract must have a background statement. The background statement should be one sentence, at most two. Don't spend half of the page presenting background statement. And if you look at the way the abstract has been presented, it is one paragraph. Abstract have no paragraph, so there should be no breakages in them. So you should have background statement, one sentence, at most two. Then you should have problem statement. Problem statement, one sentence. Then you have the main objective. The main objective is already in your work, so you are just reproducing it here. You have the main objective. After the main objective, you come to talk about the research design, the sampling technique, and sample size. So research design, sampling technique, and sample size. That can be a sentence or two. Somebody can say, this study adopted the explanatory research design, collected cross-sectional data from a sample size of 200 using purposive and convenient sampling. You have said all of them in one sentence. Somebody too will want to do it one and say, you have this study adopted the explanatory research design, full stop. A sample size of 250 was used, and the respondents were selected using convenient sampling. Two sentences. Somebody can break it into three, whatever. It should be at most three. Then you should present two or three findings. Two or three findings. You have two or three findings. Then you should have a conclusion. You should have a conclusion. And then one or two recommendations. One or two recommendations. So one or two recommendations. The abstract should not be more than one page. The abstract should not be more than one. Oh, hold on, please. Now, because I came home and there's no light. So move to the next page, please. So the dedication, you are free to dedicate Some of you will say, I dedicate this to my dear wife, and you don't mention her name. It's as good as not saying anything. If you want to dedicate the work to your wife, then be bold enough to say her name. Otherwise, don't mention your wife because
Okay, so I think Doc has gone off again. And to repeat what Doc said earlier, I think there was something I said which I think he has corrected it, and I hope you have taken notice of it. My mind was on using this one to do the declaration page. So I was talking about your supervisor and your first supervisor and your second. But for masters, you have only one supervisor, so it's going to be your name, your supervisor, and the head of department. So these are the only three names, individual, that will appear on the declaration page. So I'm repeating again. It's going to be your name, the student, with your PG number beneath your name, just like you are seeing over here. Then also your supervisor will come next. And as he said, please take note of the spelling of his name. Okay, take note of how he spells the name. So Muntaka Abdul Samad, you make sure it follows that same format. Then you add the head of department, which is now Professor Professor David Annan. He is now the head of department. All right. So like he said, at the dedication page, this is where you declare the people you are going to dedicate the work to. You can, as he said, if you want to dedicate it to your wife, don't just say my wife, but I mean, just make sure you call the name. Children, mention their name so that we know who you are talking about. And it won't be bad if you dedicate it to your supervisor too, because based on all the stress that your supervisors are going through, I mean, it won't be bad if you add the supervisor's name to it. But if you don't want to, it's not compulsory, because if you look at his dedication and his PhD, he didn't add the supervisor to it. But anyway, I think the supervisor will come under acknowledgement. Yes, I think the supervisors come under acknowledgement. So probably you don't need to add. But if there's a special reason why you think you want to dedicate the whole work to him, I mean, that is also accepted. Bona, is there something you want to add to the dedication page?
Yeah, it's okay. You've said it well. Usually that place you don't really have to say much. It's only the acknowledgement that you may have quite a number of people you want to appreciate. But the dedication there, some people even dedicate their work to, okay, Some will say they dedicate the work to Almighty God. Some prefer to bring God first before the rest. Others will also dedicate to one person, two person, depending on how you want to make it. I think it's okay. You've said everything. It's fine.
Okay. I think I've seen a question here. Somebody saying, since he is now a doctor, shouldn't we address him as such? Please, Richard Anderson. I don't know who you are talking about here. Who is now a doctor? Oh, yes. That's why I'm saying that your supervisor will be there, and that is Dr. Muntaka. Okay. And I hope very soon he'll be a professor. So if we are fortunate to have him as a professor before you guys will submit your final work, then when you are submitting the actual work, you might have to address him as such. But for now, he's a doctor. So Dr. Abdul Samad Muntaka. Okay. All right. Okay, Richard. So like he said, I think those of you who are on the platform, you can check through the chat. I've listed the sequence of the various things that need to be done. He said the first one is declaration. The second one is dedication. Then you come to acknowledgements. Then you come to abstracts, table of content, list of tables, list of figures, and list of abbreviations. So I've listed all of them under the charts. So if you go to the charts, you will see all the items. You want it to follow that format. So please don't go and change anything. Those of you who have finished your work, or if you intend to finish it anytime soon, please make sure it follows that that sequence. Okay. So the next one, as he said, after the dedication is the acknowledgements. Somebody is saying I should share it on the page. Oh, once we'll post the video on the platform, so you take your time to, or you can copy it and post and paste it there. Okay. Okay. So he says the next one after the dedication is acknowledgement. So let me quickly move to acknowledgements. Where is his acknowledgements? Okay. So over here, like he said, Bona also made mention of some of the things here that people want to dedicate their work to God and all those things. So at acknowledgement, you can acknowledge the mercies of God towards your life, like he has done over here, and also your gratitude to your supervisors, and also why you think it's, I mean, also this thesis could never have been completed without their patience, friendship, and guidance. The lessons I've learned from the small part of from them shall be a part of me for the rest of my life. I mean, as a way of acknowledging their efforts in the entire work. Okay.
Yeah, so Mr. Caleb, just to add to that, I think that acknowledgement, it wouldn't also be bad that at least you should appreciate your respondent, people that have actually spent time to respond to your research instrument. You can appreciate them. You can appreciate maybe not only your supervisor, any other lecturers in business school who in one way or the other have actually helped you directly or indirectly. You can also acknowledge your classmates because without them, maybe it may not have been possible. People you were studying with when you were doing the coursework, because if you have not met the minimum requirement for your coursework, you would not have been qualified to write the thesis. So people that you were studying with during your coursework, it wouldn't be bad that you should acknowledge them. But the only thing is just try to bring the importance one. Don't bring a lot. Don't elaborate it too unnecessarily. Bear in mind that it can be more than one page. And so whoever you want to acknowledge, make sure it is within the maximum page requirement. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so one other thing is that I think for the acknowledgements, I was initially told that you acknowledge the people who have a direct influence on the work. Okay, those who have impacted your life with regards to the work. So, for instance, if you look at what he has here, he's showing appreciation to his supervisors, just like Bona was also saying, if not your colleagues that have helped you, probably study with you, give you tips off and other things in examination and others, I mean, it would have also been very difficult for you to complete the whole program. So it wouldn't be bad to acknowledge your colleagues. For him, he is a staff of the university when he was doing the PhD. So there were a lot of hierarchies of people within the ranks that he needed to show appreciation, including the vice chancellor at that time, the provost, and all the others. Okay, because I know very well why he has to do all these things. I can't share some of the stories here. It was very important because of the pressure some of these people gave him for him to finish within that period. I mean, most of the time he starts it, and because of his numerous activities, he will sometimes forget about it, drop it. Sometimes he will meet some of these people and they'll say, hey, I'm giving you. I remember there was one professor, I've forgotten who exactly it was like, anytime he meets him, say, hey, I've given you up to this time. If you don't finish your work out, you are in trouble. So these are all the people that at least one way or the other forced him to be able to finish their work within that period. So it's not bad to acknowledge their efforts. And also he talks about the wife here again for the love, the support, the willingness to do some of the things in the house so that he doesn't need to stress himself to do some of these things. And I mean, it's not bad. Everybody who has actually contributed to your work, you need to, one way or the other, show a little bit kind of appreciation. So that is the acknowledgement. Like Bona also said, you can also acknowledge the people that you collected data for. So if you look at over here, lastly, I would like to acknowledge all the micro, small, and medium businesses owners and managers who provided the information. So for sure, they are the people you use their organization to collect the data to complete the work. So it won't be bad if you have to show a little bit kind of appreciation to their efforts, because there are so many instances where people go to organization to collect data and they are not given access. And if you don't get access to an organization automatically, it becomes very difficult for you to collect the data to be able to complete your work. And sometimes it will call for you to do the whole thing all over again. So it won't be bad to also show a little bit kind of appreciation to those that also helped you to do that. So, so from here, according to the format, from acknowledgement, then you go to the abstract, which he has already talked about the abstract. Then the table of contents. I will advise all of you, especially those of you who are not too good with Microsoft Excel. When it comes to, Microsoft Word, when it comes to the abstracts, please don't try and do it yourself. I mean, there are people who just copy somebody's abstract and begins to edit the titles and other things in it. So for instance, he will go and copy this whole table of contents into his work and will scroll through and go and see which page has the background of study and come and type the page number. If you do that, you are in trouble. You are in trouble in the sense that if by any means, if you do any editing and any of the items move to a different page and you are not able to see it, what will happen is that the page numbering will not be, will not be updated. So let me quickly, I don't know, Doc is not here, so let me quickly show you something very small. Those of you who will be submitting your work, please use the Microsoft Word table of contents to do it, and it is the best. So let me quickly show you how to do it. Okay, so Microsoft Word, let me open a blank page and see if I can use this to show you. So let me add a test. Let me just add a test. Okay, so maybe this is my test. So this part is probably my introduction. So 1 point, I think the introduction is supposed to be 1.1. Okay, background to the study. Okay, let me just do 1.1 background to the study. Then let's go here and do 1.2. I'm just using this to show you how to do the so gaps statement of problem. So yours will be statement of problem. Okay, so 1.3 objectives, research objectives. Oh, okay, let me just squeeze them somewhere here. So let's say 1.3 is research objectives. And let's do the last one here and call it, let's say, 1.4 research questions. So, for instance, if this is a let me set it to numbering. Okay, let me just leave it like that. So let me move the whole thing to the next page and come here. So if you want to insert table of contents, what you do is that you come to insert here, and I think is it reference? I'm coming. Okay, I think it's you go to reference. I don't know which what do you call it, a version of Microsoft Word you are using, but if you are using, I'm using the 2021 version. So if you come to references, this is where you have the table of contents. Okay, so first of all, you need to highlight the various headings and add it to the various levels. So if this is let me do this introduction. Let me do introduction here. Introduction. Okay. Let me do introduction here. So I'll come to reference and I'll make introduction a level 1 item. When you do this, you later on you can go back and reformat the text. Okay, you can reformat the text so that it becomes a normal text. Okay. So I've made it so you come to reference, you select it and say add it, and I'll make this one a level 1 item. Then I'll come to this one and I'll make it a level 2 background to the study. I'll make it level 2. Then I'll come to what do you call it, statement of problem, and I'll also add it and make it level 2. Then I'll come to research objectives and I'll also make it level 2. Then I'll come to research questions and I also make that one to a level 2. Okay. Now, when you are done, you go to where you want to insert the table of contents. Where you want to insert the table of content and you click on the table of contents. Okay. Automatic table of contents. So as soon as you click, you realize that what you have done, the reason why I made the introduction as a level 1, because all these things are under the what do you call it? So if you see over here, introduction is a level 1. So that is why it's standing out. So he added chapter 1. So for instance, if we are to go back to the work, and let's say if I come back to the work and I add something here, let's say chapter 1. If I add chapter 1 here, chapter 1, I will just highlight on it and just come here and make it a level 1. So if I come to this one, if I come here and I say updates table, automatically, when I click OK, automatically it will update. Oh, why is it not showing? Update the entire table. Okay. So you see, as soon as I click on update, have you seen that the chapter 1, 2 has come over there, adding the page number? If it by any means I make any changes, for instance, if I do any addition here, let's say I do an addition here, and the what do you call it? The research objective move to a different page. Let me quickly insert page numbers so that you can see that one too. Page numbers, bottom, middle. So page numbers are always in the middle of the page. So we realize that research objective is now on page. Oh, sorry. The page number should rather be at the bottom. Sorry. Page numbers, bottom of page, and it should be in the middle. Sorry. Okay, so automatically I can remove the ones on top. Okay. All right. So realize that if you look at what I'm showing you over here, you realize that your research questions has now moved to page 5. But if I go to the table of contents, previously the research question, okay, let me see. Research question is already, I think it has updated itself. So anytime you make any changes to the work and you come here and just click on update the table of content and you say, and update the entire page table, you see that the tables will update automatically. So please don't try and don't do the page numbering manually. If you do it manually, you are going to be in trouble. Okay, so use the Microsoft what do you call it, reference, which is, and use the table of contents to develop your table of contents, so that if any of the items shift or move to a different page, all you need to do is just come and click on update the table, and you see that it will update it nicely for you. And when you are done, all of them will be on a it will be in an organized form. So for instance, those ones that will be like a sub under the others. For instance, I'm just using something as an example. Maybe there is something that's supposed to be 1.2.1. Okay, maybe there is a topic, maybe gaps. I'm just citing as an example. If this is supposed to be a sub under the statement of problem, you can go to the reference and do that as a level 3. Okay, and do it as a level 3. So when you are done and you come and you click on update your table and say update entire table, you see that it will shift it right beneath it and it will arrange your item nicely. So please try and avoid using the manual system of generating the table of contents. use what Microsoft has embedded into their table, their products to be able to develop or to generate your table of content. I think Doc is back, so let me allow Doc to take over. Doc, please, the floor is for you. Hello, Doc. Oh, I think he's gone. He's off the this thing. So please, I don't know if anybody has a question on this, what I just showed you. If there is any question, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you to ask the question, because this is very, very important. This is very, very important. Please, if you have any question on how to generate a table of contents, you can raise your hand and I'll help you. I'll allow you to ask your question. Okay. So based on this, you can also use the same thing to generate the list of figures and all the others. So for instance, even though this is, okay, Olivia, you can please ask your question.
Okay, please, concerning the table of content with the chapter 1, you selected level 1. So assuming you are going to do chapter 2, are you going to select level 1, 2?
Yeah, all the items that need to stand out, because all these things that you see, 1.1 is really under introduction. So that is why we have to make the chapter 1 the level 1 item. Then the other item that needs to be beneath it will all be level 2. Any other question? This is very important too. If you want to know more on how to use the table of contents in Microsoft Word, please, you can go to YouTube and search. I think you can find a lot of videos on how to use. Okay, so like I said, this is a table of contents. So for instance, if I have a figure here, let's say, let me insert a diagram. Let me insert a diagram. Let me just insert a diagram here. Okay, this is probably a figure. After I finish with a table of contents, I can add another table of content here. Okay, I can add another table of content, but I'll just go there. I'll just go there and change the heading to something else. Oh, I think I need to. All right. Okay, I think Doc is back. Okay, Doc, so I was trying to show them how to use Microsoft Word to generate the table of contents. So if you are here, probably you can take.
I was following. I was almost telling you that what you are telling them, I am sure 95% will not be able to do it. So
Right.
for me, if you don't know how to do it, when you finish your work, get a professional to typeset it for you. This is where or research they are supposed to type settings, table of content. They generate it professionally. If you can do what he was teaching you, he just taught you free. If you can do it, do it, because some of you will present your work and you will see some of the headings and it is error. You see error there. And some of you don't care, you just submit. You don't know that it will not fail your work, but it can drop your marks by more than 20 points. Many would think, many examiners would think, well, your own work, you don't care. Who should care? Who should care about it? So please note that it is not enough for you to say that I know or I don't know or whatever. No, to do it for you. Okay, let's go to list of tables. Give me a minute. So when in doubt, get a professional. You see, the list of tables comes first. A list of tables should have the table and then the page. Even if you have one table, it is still list of tables. It will not be list of table because the word list suggests a number. Therefore, it has to be list of tables. And you are expected to line it up like this. Some of you will leave plenty space and destroy the beauty of the presentation. Every table in your work must be listed here. And I have told you that tables are numbered according to chapters. So if there's only one table in chapter 1, that table number will be 1.1. That means table 1 in chapter 1. The first one represents the chapter, and then the second one represents the number of the table. If that is the only table, don't go to chapter 2 and say, oh, because there was only one table in chapter 1, you are going to make it you are going to make it table 1. Please, don't let that. Emmanuel, thank you. So I was saying that you should and you don't go to chapter 2, and because there was only one table in chapter 1, you go and say table 1.2. No. The first table in chapter 2 will be table 2.1. The 2 representing the chapter and the 1 representing the number of the table in that chapter. That is how you number it and you produce them here. Then we go to list of figures. You see that they are all on separate pages. So you cannot say that, okay, because I have only 2 tables and it took only a small part of the page, I am continuing with list of figures. No. List of tables is on the first page. List of figures is on the first page. Dedication is on the first page. Acknowledgement is on the first page. Abstract is on the first page. Table of content is on the first page. Just that normally the table of content is long. So you have it covering 1, 2, or even 3 pages. For the table of content only, let the line spacing be 1.0 so that your table of content will come out very nicely. Remember, a lot goes into your mark. Impression of the assessor, the quality of presentation will have a big impression on the impression of the assessor. A work that is nicely presented, even if it is bogus, it will pass. Because the niceness of the presentation tones down the anger of the one reading it. If your work is excellent, but it is poorly presented, trust me, you will not. It's just like food. Some people are there, when they cook food, it is not nice, but they know how to garnish it and present it in the way that when you see it, your mouth begin to water. Some people too have very tasty food, but they are very poor at garnishing and presentation. You see the food and you feel like vomiting. It's like that. So list of figures follows. There should be figure and then the page. The last is list of abbreviations. Don't say, oh, I didn't have any abbreviations in my work. No. Look through the work very well. Definitely, you may find 1 or 2 words that you have abbreviation. You provide the list of abbreviations in this form. The spacing shouldn't be too wide, and it should be the sorry about that. I lost my connection for a minute. I was just saying that these introductory pages are like the frontline workers in the organization. Usually they are at the lowest level, but they are the first contact with the customer. And the kind of interaction that goes on between they and the customers forms the impression and the image of the organization. So if you find customers go out and say very nice things about organizations, it is because the frontline workers they met were nice to them, and vice versa. These introductory pages are like that. You present them very nicely. You make sure your work is nice and you are in good business. Even before the person has gotten to chapter 1 to start looking at it, your mark is already very high in their mind. If these pages are very poorly presented, trust me, by the time the person gets to chapter 1 to even start looking at the quality of what you have presented, your mark is very low. Your work has to be exceptional to bring you back up. Okay. We'll leave it here. If you have any question, please ask. What you see here is the other format, but we have all agreed on how we want to do it. So authorization, dedication, acknowledgement, abstract, table of content, list of tables, list of figures, list of abbreviations.
Look, I think I've posted it in the chat. How you
Great.
Posted it in the
Great.
chat. Somebody's asking what line spacing should be used for the list of abbreviations.
1.5. The entire work is 1.5. The only one I'm saying you should, because you see, when table of content is presented at 1.5 or 2.0, it looks plenty. And sincerely, it doesn't give you a good presentation. So table of content looks nicer when it is 1.0, but the rest is all 1.5. Formerly, it used to be double, 2.0, but graduate school has changed that. It's now 1.5, and you have a minimum of 55 pages from where you have page 1 to where the last statement in chapter 5. before you go to references and appendices. And then the margins, I think is 1 inch, 1 inch, 1.25 or 1.5 because of binding. We did an orientation for you, and you can look for that orientation video. Okay. All right. So those of you who are ready to submit, you are submitting your work, the entire work from cover page to appendices with the data sets in SPSS. Caleb, right? SPSS. So you are submitting your entire work.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the data sets to the email. Caleb, I think you type it in the chat, right?
Is it the one they submitted for the one we created for the previous year?
Yeah, the one we used last year.
Okay.
Yes. So then I'll try and review them. But Monday, come what may, those of you who have chapters 1 to 5, you do the introductory pages, add your references and appendices, and run your Turnitin. The similarity index should be less than 20. It should be 20 or less. We should have run the Turnitin for you, but the university's Turnitin account is jammed. I don't know why. I don't know if Caleb will be able to run Turnitin.
I don't have account though.
The university's account I have is jammed. But let's discuss it tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll try to log on again and see if it works. Then when they send the work, we will run the Turnitin.
Okay.
Otherwise, so by the close of tomorrow, we will let you know whether you are running your own Turnitin or the work you send, we will run the Turnitin here. Once your similarity index is 20 or less, you are good to go. When you run and your similarity index is more than 20, many of you will go and be deleting things rather than paraphrasing them. Be careful. And then in paraphrasing, some of you use words that don't make research sense. The word grammatically is not wrong, but research-wise, it doesn't make sense. So if you saw a word converge, these two variables converge to have an influence on the dependent variable. Another word for converge will be congruence or something, but it doesn't make research sense. It doesn't. So when you are paraphrasing, when you paraphrase, please take your time to read the statements you are having to see whether it makes research sense, because that word you introduce there could be creating an impression you don't mean and you don't understand. So please, let's take care of these things. Let's see whatever number we can push through, and if graduate school gives us more time, tomorrow I will be at the graduate school to find out if we have more time. If we have more time, then I can review the questionnaires that have been submitted. I didn't review them because I don't want anybody to go and do voodoo data collection and tell me that he has used 2 days or 3 days to collect data and is able to present chapter 4 and 5. No. That's why I stopped reviewing the questionnaires. I will resume reviewing them if graduate school give us clearance. And I see that the number of days they have added can let somebody do a meaningful data collection and at the same time do chapters 4 and 5. Hopefully tomorrow I will know that. Okay. So that is the link in the chat. Let's see. Let's see how it goes. So those of you who are done, send your work. I'll look at them. And then you print 2 copies on Monday, 2 compound copies on Monday for submission. Okay. Caleb, unless you have anything to say, I'm done talking. Is it possible to go to the end to show the references, how it should be presented? This was a very bulky work.
Doc, I'm there.
So this is what I want you to see. You see that for the references, each reference is single spaced. Then between the reference, you have the double space, the 1.5. So please don't present your don't present your references double spaced. No, don't do that, please. Don't present your reference double space. It is very annoying to look at. It's like its visual impression is very poor. Present it like this, and it'll be fine. Okay, thank you, Caleb. All right, good night, everyone.
All right. Good night, Doc.
Bye.